My administration is also working to protect our children from toxic ideologies in our schools. Shortly after taking office, I signed an executive order banning public schools from indoctrinating our children with transgender ideology. And our message to every child in America is that you are perfect exactly the way God made you.
This is a Sunday school lesson right there. Like he just, in a couple sentences, or even just that one sentence right there, taught us a Sunday school lesson.
Wokeness is trouble. Wokeness is bad. It's gone. It's gone.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I know my background is crazy right now, but whenever I do reaction videos, it's just easier for me to do it from my actual desk area with all my screens rather than trying to move all this to have my perfect background. So you get to see me in all my messy glory today. So I wanted to watch with you a couple of clips that came from the State of the Union address, because there's a lot he said, and it was a very long address. I actually liked it pretty well, but there's some pretty important points that the media and a lot of the left hate. And I'd say enough people who should be morally conscious and aware don't talk enough about how big of wins these are. So I wanted to share these with you. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military.
Do you guys ever wonder, like, with them sitting in the background, do they ever have to like prepare like a leg workout before they get going? I just think because they sit up and down all the time, with like everything being said. I wonder if they have to like get some wall sits and some deep squats in there before they prepare for this day. That way they're not like wobbly knees by the time they're done. That aside, I like that he's talking about, we're ending DEI in the public sector. That matters a lot, because whether or not you believe it's true that the people are being oppressed and not given the right opportunities, nothing is more damaging to someone, whether in that reality or not actually in that reality, it's just supposed. Nothing is more damaging to them than to try and help them and give them things they're not capable of doing. They're not accountable. They don't have the level of accountability or responsibility or capacity to actually do at an adequate level. They can be over rewarded for a job not well done, and it is very destructive to their mental emotional health if they have any conscience at all, to know that they don't actually provide a value, and they don't actually provide the level of value that they're worth. That could embitter yourself, and also that can create a sense of entitlement, which is also a thing that rots someone's soul. So yeah, this is a very good thing that we ought to get rid of.
And our country will be woke no longer.
Thank goodness.
We believe that whether you are a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, or an air traffic controller, you should be hired and promoted based on skill and competence, not race or gender. Very important.
So if you think I'm just making this up, let me go to an example for you. Frederick D. Douglass, or am I getting his middle name wrong? Frederick Douglass. If you think I'm making up the idea that it's bad for your soul, and actually, and I forgot the last half of that thought, which is, it is better for someone's character, for a people, for a community, for them to strive and merit despite adversity. You grow, you become capable, you become stronger, you contribute great value, and you don't unnecessarily harm individuals in the process. If you don't believe me, Frederick Douglass, when asked, when people were trying to figure out what do we do with the slaves after we free them from the Civil War, right? Like there was a great debate trying to figure out, should they even be Americans? Should we ship them back to Africa or buy them an island and put them there because they probably want nothing to do with us. They weren't sure what to do with it, with the freed slaves. And then if they thought, well, if we keep them, do we need to give them their own city? Do we give them, do we hand them out things? And Frederick Douglass basically said this. He said, do nothing with us. If the freedman, if the Negro is going to rise or fall, it will be upon his own shoulders. It'll be for his own account. And I'll try to find the quote here to insert into this video so you can see it here in a second.
Everybody has asked the question, what shall we do with the Negro? I have had but one answer from the beginning. Do nothing with us. Your doing with us has already played the mischief with us. Do nothing with us. If the apples will not remain on the tree of their own strength, if they are worm-eaten at the core, if they are early ripe and disposed to fall, let them fall. I am not for tying or fastening them on the tree in any way, except by nature's plan. And if they will not stay there, let them fall. And if the Negro cannot stand on his own legs, let him fall also.
He understood the position. He also understood that you will weaken them if you give them handouts. I wanted to talk about, real fast, Booker T. Washington. He was a former slave who after leaving slavery, became a very successful businessman and influential leader amongst the freed population. Excuse me. I gotta say that right, because if you don't hear the D at the end, it doesn't make a lot of sense. People who are former slaves. And he said something I thought was pretty profound. So he talked about getting an education, and this goes along the lines of you don't give people handouts, you work hard, you build a character. He says, at Hampton, which is a school,
At Hampton, I not only learned that it was not a disgrace to labor, but learned to love labor, not alone for its financial value, but for labor's own sake, and for the independence and self-reliance which the ability to do something which the world once done brings. At that institution, I got my first taste of what it meant to live a life of unselfishness, my first knowledge of the fact that the happiest individuals are those who do the most to make others useful and happy.
in other words, you find fulfillment, you find growth, you find satisfaction in meriting the positions you are in working hard and providing a value that people want done at a level they want done. We don't want to watch NFL with subpar athletes be like, this is not entertaining. Yeah, I wanted football, but I guess I should have specified I wanted football that was like, elite level. Right? Not like this Pee-wee version or whatever. We're looking for the pros to do something impressive. So that in mind, let's keep watching the rest of Trump. Hey, before we keep watching, I wanted to ask, are you subscribed yet to the channel? Most of the people who watch these videos are not yet subscribed, so please help me out. Subscribe, like this video, comment below, and help us get seen by more people, and let's create a movement that makes us better. I can't do it without you, so if you have not subscribed yet, please click on the subscribe button and let's get rolling together.
I also signed an executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports.
Gotta have some good leg workouts. That really is such a wonderful thing. I don't want my daughters getting harmed by someone else, by a man or a boy who is not the same type of competition in their sports. And it's not fair to those individuals. Men and women are fundamentally different, and that's a good thing to admit. It's a admitting to an aspect of reality that is important for us to grasp.
3 years ago, Peyton McNabb was an all-star high school athlete, one of the best, preparing for a future in college sports. But when her girls' volleyball match was invaded by a male, he smashed the ball so hard in Peyton's face, causing traumatic brain injury, partially paralyzing her right side.
Geez, I actually didn't know that at all. I had heard in the news, right, about this girl getting smashed in the face when this boy spiked the ball because he thinks he's a girl, and the adults running the show are childish and they let that happen. I actually did not know that it caused her traumatic brain injury and that she had some paralysis, some partial paralysis as an effect of that. That's terrible.
And ending her athletic career, it was a shot like she's never seen before. She's never seen anything like it.
How do you not feel resentment, right? How can you not feel so angry? I mean, if I'm her parent, I would want to sue the heck out of these people. And this is another reason why we need Christ, because you got to be able to let the unfortunate circumstances and events in life, the things that are harmful and bad, we have to be able to give that frustration, anger, and hurt to Christ, or it'll spill over. And we also need to do something like what Trump's doing here, which is protect innocence.
Peyton is here tonight in the gallery, and Peyton, from now on, schools will kick the men off the girls' team, or they will lose all federal funding.
Good. Good for her, good for all women, all the girls.
And if you really want to see numbers, just...
Okay, so you see Trump doing this, down low. I don't really know if he ever did that before, being almost unalived by a really angry bee that grazed his ear. But I will say, every time I see him do that now, in any circumstance, I feel like what he's saying is fight, fight, fight. Like, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't give up. I mean, yeah, you could read into it. He's probably also saying like, we've got your back, but really, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he did it before, but now that's what I think of every time he does it. Even down low, just talking to this girl or just gesturing to this lady.
And if you really want to see numbers, just take a look at what happened in the women's boxing, weightlifting, track and field, swimming, or cycling, where a male recently finished a long-distance race 5 hours and 14 minutes ahead of a woman for a new record by 5 hours. Broke the record by 5 hours. It's demeaning for women, and it's very bad for our country. We're not going to put up with it any longer.
How wonderful. We shouldn't have to put up with any of this at all. I mean, it's wonderful that he's saying we're not going to put up with this any longer. We should never have allowed this. We are where we are today because people like you and me are not vocal enough. Trump has opened a door and made it easier for us to say, hey, well, let's stand up for these things. But he's not our king. He cannot fight our battles for us. He can lead the charge, but we have to be in the fight too. We have to stand up for what is right, what is true. It's ridiculous that we allowed all these women in the Olympics, world's best athletes who have spent years training for these moments, to get mistreated in this way, to have their victories robbed from them because of compassion. It's amazing how people are so focused on compassion, love, and acceptance at the expense of everyone else, and they don't really care what that expense is. And sometimes it's sincere, but I think enough people are intelligent enough, and they're adults, hopefully they would recognize, yeah, what they're doing isn't really sincere, that it's just pandering. It's a way to look self-righteous, but it's also a way to spread an ideology that gives them more power ultimately.
My administration is also working to protect our children from toxic ideologies in our schools.
Okay, do you see how he doesn't mince his words? He's saying toxic ideology. I feel like for such a long time, and I know because I'm a millennial, I grew up as I watched My Nation, that I loved, that I still love so much, go down the bleepity bleep drain because everyone's too worried about being offensive and saying things that hurt people's feelings rather than caring more about truth and facts and logic, that they tailor their words in order to feel more, feel better about themselves, feel nice, and help other people not have their feelings hurt.
A few years ago, January, Little John and her husband discovered that their daughter's school had secretly socially transitioned their 13-year-old little girl. Teachers and administrators conspired to deceive January and her husband while encouraging her daughter to use a new name and pronouns. They, them pronoun, actually. All without telling January, who is here tonight and is now a courageous advocate against this form of child abuse.
All right, so he's going to have her stand up here, but great. I'm glad she's a strong advocate for these things, but the question lingers, did she save her child? I don't know. In many cases, they don't. In many cases, they do not save their child. So I think that, that's very likely the case here. Her child is too late now, but she can stand up and fight and try to protect everyone else's children who has not yet gone that far.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sorry, it just really bugs me. Like, for years, we have allowed ourselves, we who know better. America is founded upon Christian principles and a Christian culture. Christians are the foundation of, disciples of Christ are the foundation of America. And we've let this happen because we've forgotten what our values are. Gosh, it just we better start doing stuff about this now. This is why I make these videos. This is why we have to talk about this openly, and we have to be willing to contend. Disciples of Christ, people who read the scriptures, sometimes we go, oh, well, to be contentious is of the devil. Correct, to be contentious, but to contend is not the same as being contentious, and we must contend for our faith, for our values, for what we believe, in order to save our family, our children, our future.
Thank you. Stories like this are why, shortly after taking office, I signed an executive order banning public schools from indoctrinating our children with transgender ideology.
Big win. Huge win. If you can't help people, the littlest of people, the most innocent of people, start off their lives knowing what is fundamentally reality. Are they a boy or are they a girl? They're not a whatever you decide discover what reality is. If they do not even understand, have a basic grasp of their own identity in reality, they will be confused their whole lives. And people who get lost in this sort of ideology, they usually indulge in self-harm, or not, I can't say usually, but there's high numbers of them indulging in self-harm. Self-harm can include also transition therapies and surgeries. They have higher levels of depression. They are more likely to be on benefits, welfare, because they don't know how to properly function and work. I'm not saying that all people are this way, but ultimately you have people who are going to spend the rest of their lives in a miserable existence, because they don't have a foundation that's true and right. But religion can give that to you.
I also signed an order to cut off all taxpayer funding to any institution that engages in the sexual mutilation of our youth.
Huge win. Huge win. We need this.
And now I want Congress to pass a bill permanently banning and criminalizing sex changes on children and forever ending the lie that any child is trapped in the wrong body. This is a big lie.
huge lie. Like I said, it's that confusion. And if you can get people so confused, it's hard for them to connect with God, because God is a source of everyone's identity, whether you believe in him or not. You are a child of God. And I believe this is part of my faith as a Latter-day Saint. Gender is an essential characteristic of your identity. Now in this life and after you die, even before you were born. It's not wishy-washy, you decide. It's not you can reincarnate into something else, you can decide what you want. It is a essential characteristic.
And our message to every child in America is that you are perfect exactly the way God made you.
Oh man. This is like what I would call a primary, a Sunday school, a child level lesson from the pulpit of the United States president in the State of the Union address. This is a Sunday school lesson right there. Like he just, in a couple sentences, or even just that one sentence right there, taught us a Sunday school lesson. And Trump isn't necessarily that religious. I don't consider him to be an extremely religious person, but apparently, and it becomes more obvious with all of his speeches, that near-death experience has brought him closer to God.
Because we're getting wokeness out of our schools and out of our military, and it's already out, and it's out of our society. We don't want it. Wokeness is trouble. Wokeness is bad. It's gone. It's gone. And we feel so much better for it, don't we? Don't we feel better?
So there you have it. I think those are very key points in the speech by President Trump that we should have our mind focus on. We need to speak up about these things. We need to speak out. We need to organize ourselves, our personal lives, to live in a way that we can lead our own lives and therefore lead our own country out of this mess. Leave a comment below and tell me, what was your favorite part of the speech and why did it resonate with you? I read all the comments and I love to reply to them. Anyways, live free until next time.